I would love for you to share. Yeah. I'd love for you to share the advice that truly, I believe, dictates how our kids feel about your love for them, our love for them. And I think it actually helps them feel safe and feels confident in our love for them.
Yeah. So you're talking about the phrase that I got from your dad.
Yes.
Okay. Your dad would, I remember hearing him say this, and he wasn't saying it about his kids. He was saying it about God. He was saying, God doesn't love us for what we do. He loves us for who we are. And that became a statement that I say to my kids. I say to each one of them, why? I always ask the question, why do I love you? And this isn't like in a moment. This is like laying the framework always. Like whether it be like, hey, we're going to bed. Hey, do you know my dad loves you? And they say no. I say, well, Daddy doesn't love you because of what you do. I love you because of who you are.
And they know the answer to that now. So they don't say that anymore. Now it's like when you
I still do ask the question.
But they know the answer.
Because they know the answer. And
Yes.
I ask it in moments. Like I just asked my son this question last week. He had a rough soccer practice. He was like so defeated. He had let the goal in and some of his teammates were getting on him. And he's visibly sad and shaken. I say, hey, why do I love you? And he knows the answer. And he has the coy smile, like the, okay, I know the answer, Dad. I say, but I say, hey, why do I love you? And then he says, not because of what I do, but because of who I am. I say, yes, that's right. And so if you let 12 goals in today, would I love you less? And then he says, no, exactly. And if you scored 40 goals today, would I have loved you more? And the answer is no. I love you the same because my love for you is because you're my son. And so I usually and saying like, so do you plan on stop being my son? And then they say no. I said, so then I don't plan to stop loving you, right? And then it reconnects for them that whether they're in a disciplinary moment, whether they feel like a failure, it just can stabilize them in such a meaningful way because their performance doesn't change the way that I feel about them. And I think, at least for me, I had the moment, because it's a real moment for me, where I was holding our oldest son. And I've had this moment with every kid, but it was our firstborn that hits the hardest for me because I was holding him over his crib and about to put him down. And then I looked at him and I was like, geez, there is literally nothing in the world that can make me stop loving you. That parental love that the Bible speaks of all of a sudden became so clear. Like, this is the love that God has for us. We are his child and he loves us. And that's it.
Yeah. Can I share?
Yeah.
We do this thing for our children every birthday, and we list based on their age the number of reasons we love them.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw another friend one year who does the same thing. And her number one reason, like the first reason, was because he is our son. And I was like, oh, well, why didn't I think of that as my number one reason?
Right.
So now I put their number one thing is because you are our son or our daughter, because that is the truth. And that's why we love them. It's nothing they can do. It's nothing they can give or become. We just love them because that they are our child and one of the best gifts the Lord has given us.
That's right.
And I think that if we take the pressure off of a child in that way of like, I don't need to perform for my parents. They're always going to love me in hard times and really great times and my best moments and my not so great moments.
And how many times do we see that working at a school where the kid would get like an A minus in because of the amount of pressure that was built on them. Now, this isn't this oftentimes I don't even think was pressure that the parents put on the kid.
Right.
It's just there are some kids that are just wired to say anything less than perfect is a failure, and that's who I am.
Yes.
And I think
And
parents
we have a child like that.
and we have a child like that, our oldest. And I don't think the parents put extra pressure. Maybe they did. Maybe they did in some cases, but sometimes it was just the child just putting pressure on themselves. But I think the parents can help to alleviate it by just saying, look, this is a core truth about how you're loved. And I always like, in my mind, I'm like, if I can just give them this little glimpse of God's love for us, that's all I'm trying to do. Give them a little glimpse of God's love and make them say, oh, I want more of that.
Yes.
Right. And because that's the biggest thing that we could do for our kids. Give them that little glimpse of who the Father is so that they want
Amen.
more of it the rest of their life.
Amen.
Stay the same, 'cause you are the best thing that's ever happened to me. I was not the type to slow down my life for you. I was young and I was full of fire.